sorry about that. The first part of the stream got cut off at about 11 minutes because, like I've mentioned before, the Wi-Fi connection in my house is fucking trash. So, where was I? Yes, I was talking about Demon Slayer. So yeah, what I am thinking they're going to do is I think they re-released Mugen Train as its own separate thing with 7 episodes to recap people on it. Then they're going to adapt... Oh yeah, I forgot about the gunman. They're going to adapt the Entertainment District until about... I think it's going to last maybe 4 more episodes, possibly 5 if they take their time with Daki and Gyotaro's flashback, which they should, because Daki and Gyotaro's flashback is one of the best in the entire series, and it really endeared me a lot to their characters, because Gyotaro is actually probably my favorite Upper Moon in the entire series, not just because his design is so cool and unique, but also because I just love his story. And his powers are really cool. I have a soft spot for characters that use, like, blood manipulation magic. I just think that's a really cool gimmick to have, because it's always so, like, visually striking to see, like, blood and, like, the crimson color of it acting in ways that you don't expect. You know, like, moving and shifting in ways that are, like, kind of make you uncomfortable, but in a, like, really cool way. Like the way you feel uncomfortable when you're watching a really good horror movie. Like, you're enjoying it, but at the same time, you're like, oh, you know, you're in your seat and you're tense and everything's clenched, but it's like the good kind of clench where you're like, oh my god, the second, like, the jump scare happens or the murderer appears, you just, like, all the tension releases and you're like, oh my god, and you, like, freak out. And then the tension returns because another scene of scary shit starts to happen. But I do think that... I think they know what they're doing. I mean... as much money as Demon Slayer has made, I don't think that they're just gonna waste their time readapting stuff, because even though Demon Slayer has made, like, what, like $100 million in the past 2 years? Something crazy like that. Like, it surpassed One Piece in terms of manga sales in what year was it? 2021? Was it 2020? When did the first season of Demon Slayer come out? 2019? Yeah, it came out in 2019, right? So, the manga surpassed One Piece in 2020, because the first season came out in late 2019, sorry. So the manga sales would surpass One Piece in 2020, and yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I was saying, even though Demon Slayer has earned an absurd amount of money, I don't think that they would just waste their time readapting something other than to recap people who haven't seen it so that they're caught up on the story. I could be wrong, you know. I have faith in Ufotable. I've been a fan of their work for a long time. I love the Fate Stay Night movies. I don't know anything about Fate as a shit about the main series. So I do hope that Ufotable is thinking about, you know, where to go in the future, because I think it would be pretty simple to, you know, space out the story of Demon Slayer. You know, you adapt the first 3 arcs, which are all really short, in the first season, in, like, the first 8 episodes. Then you do the Drumhouse, Natsugumo Mountain, and the recovery training arc. And then you do Originally, honestly, I thought they were going to have the Mugen Train be the first half of Season 2. I thought that they were going to use, like, the first 6 episodes to be the adaptation of Season 2. I didn't even think they were going to make a movie. But I'm glad they did, because that meant that the fight between Keojiro and Akaza, which is another one of my favorite fights in the series, looked incredible. And I got to see my boy Keojiro in full glorious HD. Of course, that meant I also got to see his death in full HD, which definitely hurt. It hurt quite a bit. And I'm not upset that they readapted the... Like, I'm not upset that they re-released the Mugen Train. I'm not trying to give you guys that idea. And I don't think that the extra episode with Keojiro was a bad thing, because I actually liked that episode quite a bit. I mean, I'm never going to be upset about getting more screen time with my boy Keojiro, because if you really think about it, he barely appeared in the original manga. I mean, what he did have in the manga was great, and it was so great that it, like, was super memorable, even though he didn't have a lot of screen time. So I'm really glad that the anime and the movie gave him extra screen time, because it meant we got to spend more time with him and get more endeared to him as a character, which was definitely a good thing. So yeah, I did like that episode quite a bit. It wasn't super necessary, but again, more time with Keojiro is never a bad thing. Boom. Gotcha. But yeah, I do like the way that Season 2 is playing out so far. I like the, I do really love the art style in the anime. I really like the way that they're drawing the characters a lot. Like, the artwork in the original, manga is beautiful, but I do... I do like the art style in the anime a little bit more, personally. It's kind of like the difference between the art style in Magi. The art style in the original manga is really good, but I do prefer the art style in the anime. That's another series, though, that... I mean, they never finished adapting it. They just cut it off right after the whole Magnostadt incident with Monomet, which is a really good arc, by the way. If you haven't seen Magi, I would highly, highly recommend it. It's really, really good. It's incomplete, yeah, but what's there is really good. And hey, if you want to see the rest of the story, all you gotta do is read the manga. I mean, there was only, what, like one more arc left after where they stopped in Kingdom of Magic. I think it would have taken up, like, what, one more season? But I think it might have also been another one of those arcs that was really long, so...
Who are you? I don't know your voice, but I know that smell. Are you a hunter? And Daddy's really look for my mum. Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him, but now she's gone too.
This is probably
I'm scared.
the saddest
Really?
side mission
My mum wears a red jeweled brooch.
in the entire game.
Big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, I mustn't forget. If you find my mum, give her this music box.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the music box to kill your dad.
It's one of Daddy's favourite songs. And when Daddy forgets us, we play it for him so he remembers. I'm so silly running off without it.
Yeah.
My mum wears... Oh, it's so big and... Oh, and if please.
I kinda don't want to finish this mission because if I end up killing this family again, I'm gonna feel bad about it, you know? I was talking with my friend Al the other day about some of my favorite games. And the ones that we were talking about were the one that came up for me first was, hold on, I wrote it down. What was it? Oh yeah, Infamous. I love the Infamous games. I know they don't have a lot of, like, depth or anything. They're basically just, like, power fantasy games. It's like, oh, you want to play a game where you get to be a guy that can shoot electricity out of his hands? Well, here you go. But, I mean, just the controls in Infamous are so fun, and, like, the world is so fun to explore and traverse, and the powers are so interesting and cool, and, like, oh yeah, this is the shortcut. Okay, the powers are so interesting and cool, and, like, I know the moral choice thing has gotten, like, a bad rap in the last few years because, like, certain games have overused it or used it wrong, but I think that Infamous did it really well, personally. I think that the way they implemented it into the story of the game was really cool. And, I know Infamous wasn't the first one to do it. I know that, Mass Effect also had a moral choice system. That, you know, like the Paragon Renegade thing, I get that. But Infamous was the first game I ever played that had, like, a binary moral choice-based system. And it's still one of my favorites. What was the other one we were talking about? Hold on. I gotta get my fire paper. Okay. The other one we were talking about was Sly Cooper. Oh yeah, I love the Sly Cooper games. That's another one of those games where, story time. One of the first games that I ever played was Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. And I got into that game because when I was younger, I did not have an Xbox or a GameCube. My very first gaming system was a PS2. A PlayStation 2, and the very first game that I ever played was Jak and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy. The very first Jak and Daxter game was the first game I ever played. And the other game that I played alongside Jak and Daxter was Sly 2 Band of Thieves, or Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, the first Sly game, and the original Ratchet and Clank game. Those three, what else was there? Oh, SpongeBob, yeah. I also played... Bitch ass. Hold on.